ครับพี่ครับ
อือฮึ
grab snap is taking my ready. So I got stuck. Wait, went the wrong, left or right. It was a little bit wrong. Snap froze.
No, I think they're just spots to check in.
What up?
So we have you on the iPad in the courtroom and we're just waiting for the public defender to appear.
Oh, really? Who is? I didn't hire anyone.
All right, thank you.
That's bullshit. Who hired police defender assigned by the court? I don't want that. No, I have to. I hire real attorneys, not jobs. What name do you have, Your Honor? There is even a judge. She's a joke, bad joke, by illegal aliens. You don't know the law. Said police defender. The fuck? We already chose 3 attorneys. Paid attorneys.
All right, jail, we're almost ready to go. We're just waiting for the public defender to join us. And then I'll probably do the hospital arraignment first, and then we'll do Mr. Johnson next.
Thank you.
Who is the defendant in the first place? Who is the accused? Accused by whom? For what? What's the crime? I know my rights. I know the law. And who is the judge? Besides,
Yes. Yeah.
proceeding starts, you want me to be on the other side of the door or?
So beside the judge, do we tell you who is the defendant? What is the name? Against the what? What is the crime? It's called he or she both. The same thing last night, nothing happened. Nothing at all.
It's okay.
No judge, nothing.
Yeah, we're all waiting.
No, nothing. No attorney, no judge. I didn't know that. Tuesday got their own name.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
gets thrown out of court immediately
I'm
by
sure
a
we'll,
real judge.
I'm sure we'll
Who
get it
gets
figured
paid
out.
to work.
All right, Mr. Lee, we'll start with Miss Ballerini.
Wrong person. Confused.
All
Wrong
right.
attorney. Mistake.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 2500893. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Giannina Ballerini. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Wrong
Mr. Lee.
person. Mistaken identity. Wrong nationality. Wrong everything. So,
Right, Mr. Lee, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Miss Ballerini. It should be noted for the record, I've had no previous discussion with her, but I am here to assist in whatever
All right.
capacity I can.
All right. So you have not been able to meet with Miss Ballerini?
No, Your Honor, when we did the arraignments this morning, they said that any meeting I would have with her would have to be this afternoon.
All right. So I can go, I can place you in a breakout room with Miss Ballerini to discuss. I've got two files here. One is a R&O and one is an assault and battery. Did you want some time to speak with Miss Ballerini and I could place you in a breakout room?
That would be appreciated. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So let's do that.
this is an automatic.
Let's cover.
They don't hear a thing.
All right. So I'm going to have Mr. Lee, I'm going to have you placed in room 2, and then I'm going to place the iPad in room 2, and then we can come back and place it on the record.
Excellent. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm not even there.
All right, Mr. Lee, did you have the opportunity to speak with Ms. Ballerini?
I did, Your Honor. She has declined our representation. She claims that her name is not Ballerini, that we've got that wrong. Further, she may be more comfortable speaking Arabic. She was speaking Arabic to the police officers there. But I think she understands English too, because she knew enough to tell me that, she turned her back on me. She doesn't want us to help her, is what she's saying to me. I've
All right.
advised her that she's being arraigned on 2 charges today. I advised her that you will be setting a bond for her today.
Well, we'll attempt to arraign her then, and if we can't, we'll put it till tomorrow, because I
Okay.
can't arraign her. But my understanding is a mental health team is on their way there.
Yes, I've been advised that as well. And I think
Okay.
that there's definitely probably some issues.
All right, let's bring her back here, and you've had the opportunity to speak with her, and so we'll see if we can run through the arraignment process. If we can't, we have our answer.
Okay.
All right, ma'am. So we're on the record in docket
Look, this was set up
25-00893, and that
for
is
family.
People of the State of Michigan versus Giannina Ballerini.
Fire.
Mr. Lee, we made a record previously, but you were not able to meet with Ms. Ballerini. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I was able to, I tried to speak with her. She's declining our representation, and I've advised her that she's going to be arraigned this morning.
All right, thank you. And ma'am, you are Giannina Ballerini, is that correct? Ma'am, you are Giannina Ballerini? You're gonna have to say something, ma'am. You either are or you're not.
You give me yes or
Nay.
no.
You are not? You're saying you are not Giannina Ballerini.
Nay.
All right. And your date of birth is not 1/14/1955.
No. Nay.
All right. All right. We are time set for an arraignment. These are the allegations that have been brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It is alleged that on or about March 21st, 2025 at 6041 South Pennsylvania Avenue in the city of Lansing, Michigan, 48911, yourself, Giannina Ballerini, did in count 1 assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Carter Hurled, a police officer of the Lansing Police Department. With the Lansing Police Department, the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties contrary to MCL 750.81 D1. It's a felony, 2 years and/or $2,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law of the state of Michigan if the assault was committed in a place of confinement, or under 750.81 D6 for another violation arising from the same transaction. Ms. Ballerini, do you understand the nature of the count 1 of the resisting and obstructing?
Wrong.
Okay, so
Yes,
you don't. Do you understand the nature of it? You don't have to agree with it. Do you understand the nature of it?
Wrong.
Is that a yes, ma'am?
RAUD. All of you.
All right.
Please.
In count 2, similarly, what's been referred to as resisting and obstructing, on or about March
That's
24th,
enough.
2025 at 6041 South Pennsylvania
No.
in the city of Lansing.
Stop.
All right. All right. So, officer, what we'll do is we're not going to be able to arraign Ms. Ballerini today because obviously. So let's arraign her. We'll set her for arraignment tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, I'll let the jail sergeant know.
Judge my ass.
All right. Yeah. She's simply not going to be able to be arraigned today, and we'll set it for tomorrow. My understanding is there is a mental health team coming from Christy Granger from Community Mental Health. All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, go this way. That went well.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Are we allowed to go now?
I think you are, as long as I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But she's not being arraigned today for our purposes.
Okay.
Okay, I hope it goes better tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Lee, well, we tried to arraign to see if Ms. Ballerina would be subject to arraignment. I'll keep those files and make a note. And then, so Mr. Lee, you've had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Johnson from the.
Yes, I have.
All right, let's go with Mr. Johnson first then.
Okay.
All right. So we're on the record in docket 25-00908. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Michael Johnson. And sir, you are Michael Johnson, is that correct? Sir, you are Michael Atron Johnson? You'll have to move closer to the mic. All right, I can't hear your audio, so. All right, here we go. All right, so sir, you are Michael Atron Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lee, your appearance for the record?
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Michael Atron Johnson.
All right, Mr. Johnson, this is the time set for arraignment in the matter, and I'm going to indicate to you the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It is alleged. Let's see, please. Let's see. What's that? Right, but if there's, oh, so that's your March 25th date?
Yeah, you just need to initial.
All right. All right, so on or about what's been amended to March 25th, 2025, and I will initial that. At the offense location, I see the discrepancy. At the offense location of West Caesar East Chavez Avenue, North Capitol Avenue in the city of Lansing, Michigan, 48906. Yourself, Michael Johnson, did in count one what's commonly referred to as assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder by strangulation, did make an assault upon Alyssa Rose Mix by strangulation or suffocation, and with the intent to do great bodily harm, less than the crime of murder, contrary to MCL 750.84, that being a felony, 10 years and or $5,000, DNA to be taken upon arrest. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law of the state of Michigan if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. In count two, what's commonly referred to as domestic violence. In count two, on March 25th, 2025 at West Caesar East Chavez Avenue, North Capitol in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan, 48906, did make an assault or assault and battery upon Alyssa Rose Mix, a resident or former resident of his or her household, or an individual with whom he had a dating relationship, contrary to 750.81 parents 2. This is a third offense notice to take notice the defendant was previously convicted of assaulting or assaulting and battering his spouse, former spouse, an individual with whom he had a dating relationship, an individual with whom he had a child in common, or a resident or former resident of his household, by knowingly assaulting a pregnant individual. That is on September 20th, 2023, in violation of 750.81 parents 2, and by violating upon conviction and upon violating 750.81 parents 2 on April 13th, 2023, and on violating 750.81 parents 2 on or about June 2nd, 2023, and therefore upon conviction will be subject to an enhanced sentence under the law of the state of Michigan, that being 750.81 parents 5. That being restitution may be ordered in this case if there is damage to an individual's property or physical injury or death to the individual. This is a felony, 5 years and or $5,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law of the state of Michigan if the assault was happened in a place of confinement. That is count 2. In count 3, what's commonly referred to as aggravated stalking, on or about June 8th, 2023 through and including March 25th of 2025 at West Caesar East Chavez, North Capitol Avenue in the city of Lansing, Michigan, 48906, did engage in willful course of conduct involved repeated or continuous harassment of Alyssa Rose Mix, the conduct being such that would cause a reasonable person to feel frightened, harassed, intimidated, molested, terrorized, and threatened. Said conduct actually causing Alyssa Rose Mix to feel frightened, harassed, intimidated, molested, terrorized, or threatened. And at least one of the actions constituting the offense is in violation of a personal protection order, contrary to 750.441I. That's a felony, 5 years and or $10,000, probation of any terms not less than 5 years. In count 4, what's commonly referred to as attempted interfering with an electronic communications device, on or about March 25th, 2025, at West Cesar Chavez Avenue, North Capitol Avenue in the city of Lansing, 48906, did attempt to commit the following list offense, and in the attempt did act towards the commission of that offense, but failed in the perpetration or was prevented in the execution thereof, contrary to MCL 750.92. That's interfering with an electronic communication, did attempt to willfully and maliciously cut, break, disconnect, interrupt, tap, or make any unauthorized connection with a telephone or telephone line, contrary to MCL 750.5405A. That's a misdemeanor, 1 year and or $1,000. Upon conviction of attempted felony, court shall order law enforcement to collect a DNA identification profiling sample. That's count 4. In count 5, what's commonly referred to as assault and or assault and battery, did on March 25th, 2025 at West Cesar Chavez Avenue and North Capitol Avenue in the city of Lansing, 48906, did make an assault or an assault and battery upon the following person, Dexter Kermit Jones, contrary to MCL 750.81 parents 1. That is a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. There is an habitual offender second offense notice that is to follow, and I'll read that for the record. Take notice the defendant was previously convicted of a felony or attempt to commit a felony, and that on or about September 20th, 2023, he was convicted of the offense of assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder or by strangulation, in violation of 750.84 in the 30th Circuit Court for Ingham County, State of Michigan. Therefore, defendant is subject to the penalties provided by MCL 769.10, the penalty being 1.5 times the maximum sentence on primary offense or lesser term. The maximum penalty cannot be less than the maximum term for a first conviction. Mr. Johnson, do you understand the allegations that have been alleged against you by the people of the state of Michigan?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You have certain rights in this felony matter, and I'll walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent till proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses that are brought against you, to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You are represented today by Attorney John Lee for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, does Mr. Johnson plan to seek additional representation from your office on this file?
Yes, he does, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I have set your probable cause conference in front of Judge Simmons for April 3rd, 2025 at 9:30. Your preliminary examination is set for April 10th, 2025 at 9:30 in front of Judge Simmons. A preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the people would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime has been committed and the identity of the person who committed that crime. It is my understanding that it is your plan today, it is your intent to have the public defender's office represent you at both the probable cause conference and the preliminary examination. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I have a Larch Street address for you, Mr. Johnson. Is that still a good address for notification purposes?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if you go back to that address, that's not going to put you in violation with a no contact order. Is that correct, sir?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have a phone number that it's a good contact number for the court's file?
Yes, 517-619-4946.
Thank you. Are you on probation or parole, sir?
Probation.
And who are you on probation to? What court?
Ingham.
Okay. Is that in district court or in circuit court, your probation?
District.
Okay. Are you employed, sir?
No, Your Honor.
I'll automatically enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. We would ask the court to consider. I'm sorry, I just lost my notes. We would ask the court to consider the fact that Mr. Johnson has other cases and other files pending. He would like to be released at some point if possible, but we understand that the court may be reluctant to do that today. He has lived in Lansing for 10 years. He has children here. We would ask the court to consider a 10% bond on Mr. Johnson's behalf.
All right, thank you. If the court, if you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. GPS tether is ordered. That will be with victim notification if possible. If possible. If not, it'll be the West Caesar East Chavez Avenue address. West Caesar. I will indicate that there is to be no alcohol or drugs without a prescription, no assaultive behavior, no contact with the victim in the case, and I'm going to have a no contact order placed with both victims in this matter, and that is a Alyssa Rose Mix. That'll be 2,000 feet of her place of business, work, school, or person. We'll also set up a no contact order in regards to Dexter Kermit Jones. And that's 2,000 feet of his place of business, school, work, or person. That is considered direct or indirect. So you should not have anybody contacting Ms. Mix or Mr. Jones on your behalf. No possession of a firearms or a dangerous weapon. And a report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your date of release. I've had the opportunity to see the CCH in this matter. There's a retail fraud out of 2019. There is a domestic violence out of 2023. There's a domestic violence out of April 2023. There is a no contest on September 23, 2023 to assault GBH. There's an assault and battery on September 2023. There's also a indication from the prosecutor's office indicating that probation or pending other criminal charges. Defendant was on probation for assault, strangulation, and 23-535 in front of Judge Jamo for assaulting the same victim. And the crime charge involves violence towards another person. Defendant has a history of violence behavior towards the victim, history of threatening or harassing behavior, and an intimate partner relationship. People are requesting that the court order a GPS tether, which the court has done. 150,000 cash surety. Defendant told arresting officer he lived at the same address that the victim lives at. There's a served PPO and probation orders. Defendant has shown he has no desire to follow the court's order. I'm going to set bond at $140,000 cash surety. And you should be all set, Mr. Johnson. Thank you for your appearance today.
Yep.
Well, I've got another file. We have Mr. Johnson, we have a PA 53 violation. So it is alleged that you violated, so in file 2500588, it is alleged you violated a no contact order on this file. And that no contact order was placed by Judge Buchanan in this matter after lowering bond. Bond was lowered to a PR bond with all conditions. So that is the nature of the fail to appear. Let's see what we have. Oh, that's a PA 53 violation, no contact order, and that's why you were picked up on that for violation of the no contact order. So I'm going to remand you for a hearing on the violation of the no contact order in front of Judge Buchanan for violation of the PA 53 violation. So Judge Buchanan can set the additional bond. I'm remanding you for that hearing at this time. And that should be all for 2500588. Mr. Johnson, you are all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
Sir,
Then we have
what was the date of his hearing with Judge Buchanan?
That hearing date, April 7th at 1:45.
Thank you, sir.
I may have not said that on the record, but that is an April 7th date.
Very well. Good.
All right, and then we have Timothy Clark. All right, so we're on the record in docket 2402949. We're on the record in 24. That's People of the State of Michigan versus Timothy Clark. Mr. Lee, did you get to see Mr. Clark? I wasn't sure if you were on the fail to appears.
Yes, I did see him and talk with him.
All right. All right. Appearance for the record, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Timothy Clark.
And sir, you are Timothy Clark, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. This is the time set for on this file 2402949. I'm going to tell you why the warrant has been issued for your arrest. It appears that you were failed to appear for preliminary examination on October 17th, 2024. That preliminary examination was in front of Judge Buchanan. Do you understand the nature of why the warrant was issued for your fail to appear, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You've already been arraigned on this matter. Mr. Lee, did you want to be heard on bond? Judge Buchanan set a bond for fail to appear at $20,000 cash surety. Do you have any comment on that?
Your Honor, we would ask the court to consider a 10% bond on Mr. Clark's behalf. He has been working. He's been doing DoorDash and is anticipating with the spring weather that he'll be able to add his uncle's landscaping business to that. To that end, he's helping to take care of 4 kids. We know that he has the failure to appear, but his bond was last set at $5,000, 10%. We would ask the court to consider a modest increase in the amount of bond.
Thank you. I have previously that the PCC was held on the record. It was left on for preliminary examination. The defendant was no longer permitted to use Zoom, and then they failed to appear on October 17th. It's been set for preliminary examination in front of Judge Buchanan on April 17th, 2025 at 1:30 in front of Judge Buchanan. And there was a $5,000, 10%. I will set bond until the hearing. This can be revisited. Bond was initially set at $20,000 cash surety Bond is set on the matter. This involves an assault with a dangerous weapon and a resisting and obstructing. Bond is set at $40,000, 10%. So I've set bond. Your hearing is set for April. Your preliminary examination is set for April 17, 2025. And I've set bond at $40,000, 10%. So you should be all set on 2402-949. You were arraigned on the fail to appear. I also have some collections issues that you're involved in, sir. So we have a collection issue of 24L285-6161, a collections issue of 246285-6162, and a collections issue of 24L285-6163. On that, the balance is due about you owe the city of Lansing $192. On 24L285-6162, you owe the city of Lansing $192. And on 24L285-6161, you owe the city of Lansing $270. All these three files are going to be referred to collections. So when you're able to get out, you should contact the city of Lansing to refer to collections in order to make payment on those three files. All right, sir?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to initial 6-1. I'll initial 6-2. And I'll initial 6-3. All right, anything else for the record in any of these files? 2402-949 or the accompanying collections files, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, you're all set, Mr. Clark. Thank you for your appearance today. All right, and we are doing James Nicholas.
Your Honor, can we do Nicholas last? We just have some issues with him.
Sure. So I'll move those aside and do Mr. Leggett, Devontae Leggett, or Leggett.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 25-00909. That is the people of the state of Michigan versus Devontae Dominique Leggett. Will the parties please introduce themselves to the record? Mr. Lee, your appearance for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of Devontae Dominique Leggett.
And sir, you are Devontae Dominique Leggett, is that correct?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for arraignment on the matter. So I am going to indicate the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It is alleged that on or about March 25th, 2025, at the location of 519 East Edgewood Boulevard, apartment 705, City of Lansing, Michigan 48911, that you did make an assault or an assault and battery upon Autumn Elizabeth Powell, a resident or former resident of his household, or an individual with whom he had a child in common, or an individual with whom he had a dating relationship, contrary to MCL 750.81 parents 2. It's a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law of the state of Michigan if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Court shall order law enforcement to collect a DNA identification profiling sample before sentencing or disposition if not taken at arrest. Mr. Leggett, do you understand the nature of the allegations that have been brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You have certain rights in this misdemeanor file, and I'll walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the prosecutor prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are guilty. To have witnesses against you appear at trial, the questioning witnesses that are brought against you. To have the court ordering witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You are represented for purposes of arraignment by Attorney John Lee. Mr. Lee, does Mr. Leggett plan to seek additional representation from your office on this file?
Yes, he does, Your Honor.
Thank you. You are set for pre-trial, Mr. Leggett, in front of Judge Ward on April 15th, 2025 at 9:30. You're set for pre-trial on this matter. Mr. Leggett, you have placed the Edgewood Boulevard address as your home address is being, there's going to be a no contact order with Autumn Elizabeth Powell on this file. Is going back to that Edgewood Boulevard apartment 705 going to put you in violation of the no contact order?
No, Your Honor, she currently lives in Indiana.
Okay, so Ms. Powell does not live at the Edgewood Boulevard address, is that correct, sir?
Correct.
And that's your understanding, Mr. Lee?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so I'm going to confirm the address. Do you have a current phone number that's good for the court file?
Yes, sir. It is 517-451-3375.
Are you on probation or parole?
No, sir. Neither.
Are you employed?
Yes, sir.
Where are you employed at?
Little Caesars on MLK, Martin Luther King and Holmes.
Thank you. I'll automatically enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, did you want to be heard on bond?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Mr. Leggett does have some prior contact with the criminal justice system. He was convicted of brandishing a firearm in 2023, completed his period of probation successfully, is not currently on probation, and does not have any other cases pending. He is a Lansing resident, has been here for about 8 years. He has 2 children that live here in the area. And as he has shared with Your Honor, he is employed at Little Caesars and wants to get back to work and help provide for his children while this case is pending. We ask the court to consider a personal recognizance bond on his behalf.
All right, thank you. Sir, if you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. A GPS tether is ordered with victim notification, if possible. If possible, if not, there'll be a no contact order with the victim, and then she'll provide the address of the no contact order. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with the victim in this case. And that is an Autumn Elizabeth Powell. So there'll be no contact with Autumn Elizabeth Powell. That is 2,000 feet of her place of business, work, school, or person. And that is direct or indirect. So nobody should be contacting Ms. Powell on your behalf.
Understood.
No possession of firearm or dangerous weapon. And report to pretrial services. No, we don't have to, it's a misdemeanor. So you do not have to report to pretrial services since it's a misdemeanor. I've had the opportunity to see the CCH in this matter. Counsel is correct. There is a no contest plea to brandishing a firearm out of 2023. Then I don't have any other convictions on the CCH. So I'll set on this bond. This is a domestic violence assaultive case. I will set a bond at 2,010%. So bond is set at 2,010% on this matter. And you should be all set, Mr. Leggett. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Do you have any questions, Mr. Lee?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, and then we'll call Jonathan Garfield Gray. All right, so we're on the record in docket 2500911. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Jonathan Garfield Gray. Appearances for the record, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Jonathan Michael Garfield Gray.
And sir, you are Jonathan Michael Garfield Gray, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is time set for the allegations that have been brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It is alleged that on or about March 25th, 2025, at 918 Mullen, City of Lansing, Ingham County, 48916, that you, Jonathan Michael Garfield Gray, did in count one, what's commonly referred to as assault and battery, did make an assault or an assault and battery upon the following person, Sean Joseph Straits, contrary to MCL 750.81, parents 1. It's a misdemeanor, 93 days and or $500. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law of the state of Michigan if the assault was committed in a place of confinement, and the court shall order a law enforcement to collect a DNA profiling sample before sentencing or disposition if not taken at arrest. Mr. Garfield Gray, do you understand the allegations have been brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have some rights in this misdemeanor file, and I'll walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses that are brought against you, to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. You are represented today by Attorney John Lee for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, does Mr. Garfield Gray intend to seek additional representation on this file from your office?
Yes, he does, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Your pretrial has been set on this file for April 14th, 2025 at 10 a.m. in front of Judge Simmons. There is going to be a no contact order in regards to Sean Joseph Straits, is going to the 918 Mullen address. Is that going to be, you've indicated, is that going to put you in violation of the no contact order, Mr. Garfield Gray?
Yes, Your Honor. I had already made plans to move if able to get out on bail today.
All right. Do you have an updated address?
I can give you one, Your Honor.
All right. What is that?
It's going to be 10727 Ocean Beach Road, Clark Lake, Michigan.
Michigan. And do you have a zip code there, sir?
49234.
Do you have a phone number that's a good contact number for the court file?
Yes, Your Honor. It is 989-505-6549.
Are you on probation or parole, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Are you employed?
Yes, Your Honor.
And where are you employed at?
I work for Fast Temps, and then I'm also in the U.S. Army National Guard.
All right, I'll automatically enter not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Thank you, Your Honor. We would ask the court to consider that Mr. Garfield Gray has a clean criminal history. That is to say, he has no prior convictions. He grew up in the Lansing area. He is employed here and continues to work here in the Lansing area. He is staying with his aunt in Clark Lake during these proceedings, but he does have transportation and, as stated, works daily in that is throughout the week here in the Lansing area. So we'll have no problem attending his hearings and intends to participate in these matters. We would ask the court to consider a PR bond on his behalf.
All right, thank you. If you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions, sir. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription or marijuana. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No contact with a victim in this case. The victim in this case is a Sean Joseph Straits. So there should be 2,000 feet of Mr. Stratt's place of business, work, school, or person. And that's direct or indirect contact. So, so nobody should be contacting Mr. Stratz on your behalf. No possession of a firearm or a dangerous weapon. Had the opportunity to read the CCH in the matter. And there, counsel is correct. There is no prior CCH. So this is a first offense. I'll set bond at PR bond $500. What's that? So we'll set bond at $500 PR bond. All right. Anything else for the record in docket 2500911, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Garfield, Gray, do you have any questions? You're all set.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we have a Jose Perez. All right, and Mr. Lee, are you involved in this case, on Mr. Perez's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we're on the record in docket 2400019. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Jose Perez. Will parties please introduce themselves for the record, Mr. Lee?
Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Jose Ray Perez.
And sir, you are Jose Perez, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is the time set. I think there's two files here. We'll do one at a time. I'm going to indicate to you the reason for the warrant which has been issued for your arrest. It is on that you failed to appear for a pretrial conference scheduled for 9:30 on March 19th, 2024, in front of, it looks like, Judge Ward. Do you understand the nature of the allegation that's brought against you, that you failed to appear at a pretrial conference in front of Judge Ward?
Yes, sir.
All right. Judge Ward has requested a bond amount to be remanded until the hearing. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, Your Honor. We understand that the court respects greatly the order from Judge Ward. We would ask the court to consider a 10% bond on Mr. Perez's behalf.
All right. All right, Mr. Perez, the pretrial on this matter is set for April 15th, 2025 at 9:30. It's set once again for pretrial in front of Judge Ward. I'm going to set bond in the matter. This was set at $100 PR concerning the matter. I'm going to set the bond at $1,000, 10%. So it'll be $100 cash bond on this file. And the pretrial is 4/15/2025 at 9:30. Anything else for the record in 2400019 on this file, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're all set on this file, Mr. Perez. Then we have a second file, which is 1602609. And Mr. Lee, are you involved in this file?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. 160260609. That is Lafque versus Jose Perez. Appearances for the record, Mr. Lee.
I'm sorry, you said that is who, Your Honor?
This was a civil case.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For,
no, we are not involved in that. Sorry.
All right. It's a civil show cause case. So, all right. So, Mr. Perez, do you understand? You are Jose R. Perez. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to tell you the allegations that have been alleged against you by the people of the state of Michigan. This is actually LAFQ. This is a civil case. A request of bench warrant was issued for your arrest for fail to appear on September 6, 2022, July 17, 2023, November 6, 2023. You were held in contempt for failure to appear, and Judge Buchanan has issued a $300 cash bond in this matter concerning your fail to appear. Do you understand why the warrant was issued for your arrest for fail to appear at the civil proceeding, Mr. Perez?
I do not. This is the first I've heard of any of this.
So you failed to appear 3 times, and on the final time, bond was set at $300, and they did a show cause, and that's why they did a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I just never knew about it because all it is a loan that I had through LabQ. I never heard
you've got a loan through LAFQ that you've never appeared on, and it's been set for hearing several times.
This is
So that is the nature of why the show cause warrant was issued for you for your fail to appear. The a new pretrial has been set by LAFQ and by the Judge Buchanan for April 10th, 2025 at 2 p.m. in front of Judge Buchanan. I'm assuming that you'll make it to the April 10th, 2025 date at 2 p.m. in front of Judge Buchanan. Is that correct?
absolutely.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to set bond in this matter, and this is a civil matter for fail to appear, and I'll set it at $300 PR. So, sir, you are going to be PR bonded on this file, but if you fail to appear at the April 10th date, they'll just arrest you again on the same file. All right.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, if you don't appear on April 10th, you're just going to have an arrest warrant for you. And the bond was set at $300 cash last time. All right.
Okay.
All right. So, the pretrial on the LAFQ versus Mr. Jose R. Perez is set for April 10th, 2025 at 2 o'clock. You should be all set, Mr. Perez. Thank you for your appearance today.
Wasn't there another charge?
There was. You were here on 2 files. One was a fail to appear on a dog license, and the other one was a civil infraction.
They told me that on my arrest, they charged me with another charge.
Yeah, I don't know what they told you, but those are the only 2 files I have, is the fail to appear on the dog license and the fail to appear on the civil infraction. So you should be all set, sir.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, then we'll do Mr. Joshua Rhodes.
Is there a way I can get your number?
They'll give you whatever documentation necessary.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Then we have Joshua Rhodes. So we're on the record in docket 2500907. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Joshua Rhodes. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of Joshua Allen Rhodes.
And sir, you are Joshua Allen Rhodes, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, this is time set for arraignment. So I will tell you the nature of the allegation that's been brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. It is alleged that on March 26, 2025, at the offense of 600 East Michigan Avenue, at or near Pure Marquette Street in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, yourself did receive a ticket for trespass on property of another or remaining on property after being told to leave. That is punishable by 90 days in the Ingham County Jail and or $100. Do you understand the nature of the allegation that's been brought against you, sir?
Yes.
All right. You have certain rights in this misdemeanor offense, and I will walk you through those rights. You have right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses that are brought against you, to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. Mr. Lee, you were here representing Mr. Rhodes for purposes of this arraignment. Does Mr. Rhodes plan to seek additional representation from your office on this file?
Yes, he does, Your Honor.
All right. This has been set for pretrial on April 8th, 2025 at 11 o'clock in front of Judge Simmons. And then, Mr. Rhodes, I have the address. Do you have an address that's good for the court's file at this time?
Currently homeless right now.
All right. And do you have a phone number that you can be reached at?
I don't.
All right. Are you on probation or parole, sir?
Neither.
Okay. Are you employed?
No.
I'll automatically enter a not guilty plea for purposes of this arraignment. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We would ask the court to consider that Mr. Rhodes has had some contact with the criminal justice system, primarily retail fraud related. He did have an assault and battery conviction in 2024. He is set to be sentenced on that assault and battery on April 3rd of this year. He also has a retail fraud and 2 trespassing cases pending. Outside of the assault and battery conviction, Your Honor, none of these cases are violent in nature. We don't believe him to be a danger to himself or to society in general, and we're sure that there are no contact orders and such to protect the witness in the assault and battery case. He is unemployed. However, he is a lifelong Lansing resident, and we don't view him as a flight risk either. So we're asking the court to consider a low 10% bond on his behalf so that he can get credit for the time that he will be serving, we imagine, between now and the April 3rd sentencing date on his 2024 file.
All right, thank you. If you're able to make bond, I'll set the following bond conditions. No use of alcohol or drugs without a prescription or marijuana. No assaultive behavior. No out-of-state travel. No possession of a firearm or a dangerous weapon. I've added the opportunity to see some of the CCH in this matter, and we are going to set bond at, as requested, at $1,000, 10%. So this will be set a low 10% bond, but of $1,000, 10%. Mr. Rhodes, you should be all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you.
And then, Mr. Lee, I think we have Mr. Nicholas on.
We're about to go grab him, Your Honor.
All right.
Can I take a second to try to fix the printer?
Absolutely. We're gonna try to fix our printer while he's being escorted here. Okay, Mr. Lee?
Very well, thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we have Mr. Nicholas here in front of you.
All right, so Mr. Nichols, this is a time set, but we'll get Mr. Lee present. All right, so we're on the record in 25-00211 and 25-00195. That is people of the state of Michigan versus James Nichols. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee on behalf of James Ryan Nicholas. It should be noted for the record, I have not yet had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Nicholas in regard to today's charges.
All right. And sir, you are James Ryan Nichols, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is time set for an arraignment today. I'm going to indicate why a warrant was issued for your arrest on each file. So on the 25-00211 file, which is commonly referred to as possession of methamphetamine.
Can I talk to my lawyer first?
Sure, you can talk to Mr. Lee. Would you like to talk to Mr. Would you be amenable to talking to Mr. Nicholas in a breakout room?
Absolutely.
All right. So Jail, I'm going to have I can move you to a breakout room with Mr. Lee and then provide Mr. Nicholas some privacy so he can talk with his lawyer concerning the arraignment on both of these charges. All right.
Ready, thank you.
All right. One of you can stay with them as needed. So Mr. Nicholas, I'm going to have you moved to arraignment room to room 3. And then Mr. Lee, you should get a prompt to go to room 3. All right, Mr. Lee, I'm going to bring back Mr. Nicholas. All right, Mr. Lee, you've had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Nicholas in a breakout room concerning this arraignment.
I have, Your Honor.
All right. And sir, you are James Nicholas, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Lee, you can indicate your, I think you already indicated your presence for the record. You can do so once again.
Very well. Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender John Lee appearing on behalf of James Ryan Nicholas.
All right. So, Mr. Nicholas, this is time set for arraignment on both of these files concerning why there's been a warrant issued for your arrest. It is alleged that on or about, let's see. It's alleged by Judge Simmons that you failed. You were held in contempt of court for failing to appear, and your bond was forfeited and it was remanded. And so that is on file 2500211. Yeah, I've got 2500211. You don't have that?
I do. I typed it in backwards.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and I have so that was why a warrant was issued for your arrest on 2500211. That is the possession of methamphetamine case. And then a warrant was issued for the controlled substance possession trespass of 2500195. And that was for bond violation on that filed for remand. And that was remanded as per Judge Simmons for a violation of bond. And that is for failing to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your date of release. It appears that that is the nature of the violation, that you failed to report to pretrial services on both of these files. Do you understand why a warrant was issued for your arrest, Mr. Nicholas?
For missing court, yeah, but I called the pretrial services,
so,
and I did report when I got out. I left a voicemail.
All right. Well, there's an indication in a report indicated that they did not have any contact with you, but that's just the allegation right now that's been brought. We have set this for contempt hearing on March 27th, 2025 at 9:30 in front of Judge Simmons on both files. That's March 27th at 9:30 on both files.
Can I tell you why I missed it?
You can, but it doesn't matter because that's when we set the contempt hearing. So there's going to be a hearing set, so you can provide evidence to dispute any of the allegations.
Mr. Nicholas, at this time, I would just stand mute on the reason, and you can discuss that with your attorney after this arraignment, okay?
All right, I think that's good advice. That's what the contempt hearing's for. Mr. Lee, would you like to be heard on bond?
I would, Your Honor. Mr. Nicholas has shared with me some details in regard to why he was unable to participate at the time that the court expected. I have advised him, based on what he has shared with me, that he really needs to submit a police report and report some things that were done to the police, because as he shared it with me, it really wasn't his choice. It was against his will to be where he was at and to not be able to leave and participate in things. So that is the explanation that he has offered. And given that, I would ask the court to consider resetting bond to the original bonds, and or if the court is so inclined to a 10% bond of some sort.
All right. So so the contempt hearing, this is the arraignment on the fail to appear. It does appear that Mr. Nichols has a defense to the fail to appear. I'm going to reset the original bonds that were set. So this was amended a bond at 3,500 PR on file 25-00211. I'm going to set it at 3,500, 10%.
I have no way to pay that.
25-00211. And then I'm going to set, this was 2,000 PR bond on the other file, and I'm going to set bond at 2,000, 10%. And then that can be readdressed at the contempt hearing in front of Judge Simmons. Anything else for the record in 25-00195 or 21 or 25-00211, Mr. Lee?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Nichols, you're all set. Mr. Nichols, you're all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
It's not PR bonded.
All right. And I think that wraps up the arraignments for this afternoon, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. It was a pleasure.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
You too, sir. Thank you.
What I got going on?
Okay, mute us.
And then we On the iPhone, could you please identify yourself and we'll rename you? You're listed just as the iPhone.
Hi, Terry Loomis.
Let's see. Terry Loomis.
She's here for the three, the last one.
All right, so you're in the right place. Stand by. And I'm going to rename you, but you're in the right place. We'll call your case in a minute. All right, ma'am? Few
All right,
minutes,
thank you.
actually.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 25-00307. 250307. That is Woodward 111 LLC versus Kristen Starks. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Bach.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. Ronald Bach here for the plaintiff, Woodward 111 LLC.
All right. This is the time is set for a formal hearing today. And it was set for 2:30. It is now 3:10. And it would appear that Ms. Starks has failed to appear today for the hearing. Let's see. We previously met and they under rental assistance on February 26th in a breakout room. And we set this for today's date for formal hearing. We also sent her notice concerning, because she did ask for a rental assistance abeyance. And so we sent it and with this date of hearing on that document. Mr. Bach, how did you want to proceed?
I'd like to proceed with a default judgment, Your Honor.
And so, as previously indicated, it was set for 2:30 and it's now 3:11. Do you want to place any terms of the default on the record? I have the default, but I can place the terms unless you have a copy of it.
Sure, Judge, I have the numbers here. At this time, the rent is to maintain is $2,775 plus cost of $242.35 for a total to retain possession $3,017.35. For the money judgment prorated through today is $2,633.87 with the same cost of $242.35. The total money judgment $2,876.22. The writ date and appeal date of 4/7/25.
All right. I'm in possession of the default judgment on 25-00307 with boxes 1 and 2 are checked as the numbers were indicated by counsel for the record. 4A is checked as April 7th being the writ date. 5 and 6 are checked. And then a prorated amount of $2,876 for the money judgment. I will indicate for the record that this the tenant received notice, has been here twice previously and received notice and her rental assistance indication with March 26th at 2:30 being the date for rental assistance. So I will sign the document. April 7th is also the appellate date. I will sign the document accordingly. To the best of your knowledge, Mr. Bach, Ms. Starks is not a minor incapacitated or in the military service, and the premises was kept for its intended purpose. Is that correct?
Yes.
I will sign the default judgment on 25-00307 LT. Anything else for the record on this file, Mr. Bach?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, you're all set on this file. That's Ms. Starks, and that we'll sign and scan that. And then we have. I'm gonna save change. All right, and then let's go on. Ms. Loomis, we'll call your case. So we're on the record. 00553. We're on the record in docket 25-00553. That is Edward Rose Realty versus Terry Loomis. Appearances for the record, Mr. Bach.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ronald Bach here for Edward Rose Realty.
And ma'am, you are Terry Loomis, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can hear me all right, Ms. Loomis?
Yep.
All right, thank you. This time is set for a landlord-tenant formal hearing in the matter. It has come to my attention that a consent judgment was entered and is available for my signature on this matter. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Bach? And we can just put any of the specifics on the record.
Yes, Your Honor, that is fair.
All right.
I was told that it is signed. I have an email from Ms. Loomis saying to sign it for her. But it's nice that she's here on Zoom.
Absolutely. Okay, and Ms. Loomis, you did sign the consent judgment, and so you're aware and you've reviewed it and you've signed that document. Is that correct?
Yes, I have.
All right. And then you understand, because you're not represented by counsel, you have 3 days from today's date to say that something we did here was vague or ambiguous, or you didn't understand it, although you've signed the document. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yep.
All right. The court rule's been explained concerning the consent judgment. Are there any terms you want to place on the record, Mr. Bach?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, the rent to retain is $2,160.50 with costs of $172.04. Total amount to retain $2,332.54. We've got a writ date and an appeal date of 4/7/25.
All right. And as previously indicated, Ms. Loomis, that's the document that you've signed that Mr. Bach has just placed on the record. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. I have the order. It's been e-filed. So I'll sign the one I've got since I've got it already.
Sir.
And then that'll make it easier. I know because I know that it's been filed because we saw it earlier. So, all right. So I will sign the order to follow. Anything else for the record in 2500553, Mr. Bach?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, you should be all set. Ms. Loomis, do you have any questions of me?
Nope, I don't. Thank you.
You're all set, ma'am. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too.
Have a good day, Judge.
You too, Mr. Bach.
You have a question, Ms. Taylor?
Oh, yeah.
No. Okay, all right, I'll let them know. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Bach, you're popular today. That was
I know how to do it.
all right. We'll see you, Mr. Bach.
Nice.
All right, is there a representative from Riverfront Apartments? Is there a representative with Miss Cassandra Curtis? Sir, what case are you here on? What's that?
Willie Dillard.
Really?
Apparently, Miss Stephanie can do all those things. She has them with that order.
Okay, so that is, this is a default.
That's a default and a consent.
All
And then
right.
he submitted his ledger. You told him to bring it next time.
All right. Mr. Dillard, you can come up here. And then that is dealing with Antoine Williams and Joyce Harris. He's here? All right. You can come up here, sir. Consent and ledger. All right. 0093. All right, so we're on the record in docket 25-00093. That's Willie Dillard versus Antoine Williams and Joyce Harris. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Dillard.
Willie G. Dillard.
Thank you, sir. And sir, you are Antoine Williams, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And Ms. Harris is not here today, is that correct?
No, sir.
All right. This is the time set for formal hearing was set for 3 o'clock today. I do not see Ms. Harris in the Zoom courtroom or physical courtroom. And nobody's answered by that name in the hallway, to the best of my knowledge. So at this time, Mr. Dillard, this would be concerning, you'd be requesting a default judgment for the fail to appear Ms. Harris, and then you've entered into a consent judgment with Mr. Dillard. Is that my understanding?
Can you run it back by me again?
I have a default judgment as to Ms. Harris for failing to appear today.
Is it possible if I can try to Zoom call her on my phone?
She needs to be here.
Oh, she have to be here.
Yeah. I mean, she can come in by Zoom, but I mean, she's already, well, it's 3 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, if Mr. Dillard's willing to wait for her, I have a default judgment as to Ms. Harris. But if she can come here, she can consent to this.
She's in the hospital.
Okay, she's in the hospital. So you don't know have we ever received any notice that she's in the hospital, or did you tell us that?
She went last night, like 3 in the morning.
Okay, she just went last night. All right. I don't know. We need her appearance here. Is it the same type of, this looks like the same type of default, the same type of numbers, 3262 and 3262, is that correct? Mr. Dillard?
Yes.
Okay. So that's why we're defaulting her for fail to appear, okay? You're also in a consent judgment with Mr. Dillard concerning the amount owed. Is that a fair statement, sir?
Yes.
All right. And that has your signature on the bottom of this. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right. You can try to get her here by Zoom, but I think it'd be I think that'd be a hard thing to do, but I'm willing to let you try if you want to.
Okay.
All right. So so step outside and see if you can get her here via Zoom. You might have to get the ID number from Miss from my court officer. But so she'll join us via Zoom. And then that would both be the consent judgment instead of a default. Is that your understanding, Mr. Dillard?
Yes.
Yeah, because she'd show up, but she'd see it would be a consent judgment as opposed to a default judgment. All right, so Mr. Dillard, have a seat and we'll see if we can get her here. If we can't, we'll just go forward.
Oh, yeah.
You can have a seat right in the back. We may call different cases while you're here.
All right. Thank you.
And then Mr. Williams, you can try to get a hold of her. If you can't, we'll just come back and put it on the record. All right.
Okay. All right.
Right, Mr. Dillard, you can come up here. All right. So we're on the record in docket 25-00093, and I am in possession of a default judgment for Ms. Harris and a consent judgment for Mr. Williams. We've had some conversations. I do not see Joyce Harris in the Zoom courtroom or physical courtroom. There's nobody in that name by the hallway. Mr. Dillard, did you want a default judgment today?
Yes.
All right. And I'm in possession of a default judgment for landlord tenant. I will indicate that Ms. Harris is not here today. That is she is D2. Is not here. Default judgment is requested. All right. As indicated previously, I'm in possession of a default judgment in this matter. Mr. Williams, it is fair to indicate that to the best of your knowledge, Ms. Harris is not a minor, incapacitated, or in the military service, and the premises was kept for its intended purpose. Is that correct? Mr. Dillard, is that a correct statement?
Yes, you said Mr. Harris.
Oh, I did? My fault then. Mr. Dillard, is that your understanding, the best of your knowledge, Ms. Harris is not a minor, incapacitated, the military service, and the premises was kept for its intended purpose?
She's not, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'm in possession of the default judgment in box 1 and 2 has been checked. Rent to retain is $3,150. Costs are $112 for a total of $3,262. 4A is checked with a writ date of April 7th. 5, 6, and 7 are checked. Box 6 is checked that the partial payment will not prevent the court from issuing an order of eviction, and the appellate date matches the writ date. I'm going to sign the default judgment in regards to Ms. Harris for her fail to appear accordingly. We will sign and scan that. Yes.
If they are able to finally get that payment processed, can I still pay that remaining?
No, that's the whole point of the hearing.
So
if Mr. Dillard's willing to work with you, but the consent judgment here is that it all has to be paid, 3262 have to be paid by April 7th, 2025. Or else Mr. Dillard can come and request an eviction.
Okay, so I got somehow, I don't know what's taking so long to make that payment, but if they make that payment,
Then-
then I come up with the rest.
Right, then the pay or vacate is April 7th for that date.
Okay.
All right. All right, that's your understanding and you've agreed to it and signed this, is that correct? All right, and you understand that you have 3 days from today's date to indicate that something we did here was vague or ambiguous. You understand that court rule, sir, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right, I am in possession of the consent judgment on 25-00093. Boxes 1 and 2 are checked. The total amount to pay, or Mr. Dillard can come and ask for an eviction is $3,262. 4A is checked that can be paid before April 7th. All right, sir? All right. 5 is checked for the defendant may be liable for money damages. The acceptance of partial payment will not prevent the court from issuing, and there's no money judgment at this time. I've explained the court rule, and April 7th date matches the writ date of April 7th is matched to the appellate court date. I will sign at the request of both parties, and we will sign and scan both the default in regards to D2 the consent judgment signed and scanned as to, and that would be tenant 1. All right, so a consent judgment has been signed and the default judgment has been signed. Anything else for the record in docket 25-00093, Mr. Dillard? Mr. Antoine, Mr. Williams, do you have any questions of me?
I think I pretty much said it.
All right. All right. Yeah, April 7th is the date. So after April 7th, Mr. Dillard can come and ask for an order of consent, an order to evict you. So if he's not paid, so you may want to keep in contact with Mr. Dillard concerning what's going on, okay?
Right.
All right.
I'm trying to do everything I can. I just started back working.
I understand. I understand completely, sir. All right. So we will add that note. And you're all set. You should get a copy of the consent judgment and the default for your records. We'll make a copy. And that's all for the record in this file. Thank you for your
Okay, thank you.
Those are the consent judgment. Just a second. I'm now afraid to hit cancel. Isn't that funny? Because I'm afraid that I'll lose. All right. Oh, and here's the ledger. Here's the ledger too.
Mr. Dillard, do you want your ledger back? Oh, you want me to take care of it? Okay.
All right. I don't think we've had anybody appear on Riverfront Apartments.
That is closed with voluntary dismissal file today.
Okay, let's put that, I'll just put that on the record. We like that. All right, so we're on the record in docket 25-00262. That is Riverfront Apartments versus Cassandra Curtis. It is my understanding that the plaintiff has filed a voluntary dismissal on the matter. And that is all for the record in docket 25-00262. They may have previously filed the dismissal. They just never filed it, I bet.
Oh. So,
Now they're really filing it.
the only one we have left is Witty that I can figure out.
Okay, that
I
is.
think he left. It's my, 'cause I gave it back to him and I said, she's running late. She's on her way. And I bet he thought it was signed. 'Cause he's nowhere to be found. But she also hasn't showed up yet. I don't know where she was.
Let me just take a peek to see where else.
Yeah, you may be right, because if he's not in another courtroom, he's generally, he likes to come in this courtroom. I know him.
I looked in Ward and I looked in Simmons. I didn't see him.
We had a couple of things at 2-ish, which should be done in front of Buchanan unless she's running really late.
That's how. We'll give him a little bit of time. Okay, so Loomis is that consent judgment. And then Huron is, that's when you said they filed a dismissal.
On which one?
On 25-00550.
Yeah, here on development.
Yeah. And so this is what this, I like this on, I can go and see everything. And if they filed something, we know that we can take that one off. That's the kind of the cool part of it, which we normally do, but it's hard on arraignment day because we have arraignments and then we've got like people waiting on us. So we are waiting on Mr. Whitty.
I'm gonna look for him again. But...
Yeah. He must have known he was in here.
I mean, I gave it back to him.
Yeah.
Didn't say leave. But I don't know.
I don't think Miss Lee was here yet. Legba Enterprises. You see him anywhere?
Who?
Mr. Whitty?
The only other place I saw him was possibly Judge Buchanan, but that was like at 2:15. And I got it, Rebecca doesn't usually run that far behind, but what do I know? Well, there's one way to find out. He is not with Buchanan.
Not with Buchanan. This is not like him.
I know.
So my inkling is just reset it.
Yep.
Just because he could ask for I don't want him to refile everything. Let's see if we can track him down. And it could just be a miscommunication. And he was here, so. Legba Enterprises. Mine is, my favorite one is like Silly Duck Enterprise.
Silly Goose.
Silly Goose.
Only Joy Whitty can say that with a
that's
straight face.
Joy Whitty, yeah. Silly Goose Enterprises. Yes.